This is Aureus Low Fidelity MVP. So Aureus, or Aurora Renewable Energy and UV Sequestration. So Aureus is a solar panel that can function even when not directly facing the sun. It can rely on the UV scattering through clouds and by the UV light bouncing along the walls, pavements, and other buildings. So the Aureus is the system and an evolution for walls or windows and uses technology synthesized from upcycled crop waste to absorb stray UV light from sunlight and convert it to clean renewable electricity. Next is the user story. At the left side is Engineer Raymond Bracero, a science research specialist one at DOST Pag-asa. So he said that as a research specialist of Pag-asa, I want to have a reliable energy source for my equipments so that it can function well in any circumstances, especially during bad weather condition. He also added that as a research specialist of Pag-asa, I want to utilize renewable energy so that I can help the people as well as the environment. So the specifications of the user story and the areas. So its specifications is to function well in any circumstances, especially during bad weather condition. Also to utilize renewable energy. So its ROI, or the return of investment, is it can harvest more energy from the sun. Also, crop waste can now be upcycled. So the Arius specs is to produce energy nearly 50% of the time compared to the 15 to 20% of the standard solar panels. It is also created from a recycled plant, which is the Luyang Dilaw, and it can produce electricity even when not facing the sun directly. So the method of verification of the Arius is the charging time and the difference in expenses between the typical solar panel and the Arius. Comparison. So Arius can capture solar energy using only less than 5% of the area that it would take using traditional solar forms of solar energy capture potential. And lastly, the Arius stands at 80% upcycling potential in terms of material mass. So, at the left side, the typical panels or solar farms kay gagamit og dako kayo nga space, while ang Aureus is you can use it as a window. So the comparison of the laminated glass with UV reflecting film at the Aureus solar window. So the laminated glass window with UV reflecting film at the left side has shows the solar window. Blah, blah, blah. So this is the laminated glass panels with UV reflecting film. And then the UV rays from the sunlight will be reflected in the film and reflect the UV reflected off as heat. But the disadvantage of this UV reflecting film, the unwanted exposures will be reflected or, or exposed to the pedestrians, which is in a form of UV radiation. While the Aureus solar window, mm, this is its solar window, and the UV and the UV rays from the sunlight will be reflected on the window, and the UV is absorbed and redirected to the edges of the fluorescent polymers plate as visible light. The visible light emitted is then converted by photovoltaic modules into electricity. This minimizes the reflected UV rays onto the streets and pedestrian. So here in the audio solar windows, the pedestrians will not be exposed by the UV radiation because it absorbs the UV light, and the electricity can be stored for the later use. Stored electricity can be utilized for the lighting or the auxiliary power supply. Pedestrians will be unexposed to the UV radiation. So this is the technology testing of the Aureus. Aureus. So according to the preliminary testing, it can produce close to 50% of the time compared to the 15 to 22% in the standard solar panels. So the Aureus is much more advantageous than the standard solar panel. So the standard solar panel, so the photovoltaic solar panels most commonly used in the residential installations come in a wattage ranging from 150 watts to 370 watts per panel. While the Aureus panel, it can convert 1 kilogram of waste scrap into 108 watt peak. So the specs comparison, so the 160 watts from the standard solar panel cost 3,500, and the power generate and the power it generated is 160 watts, and the energy production time in percent is 15 to 22, while the average solar panel costs 4,000 pesos, generates power of 108 watts, and the energy production time in percent is 40 to 50%. So the hour used is much expensive but has a longer time in energy production. So the in daily, the kilowatt per hour is of the standard solar panel, and the power production comparison. So the daily kilowatt per hour production of standard solar panel is 0.844, while the hour use is 1.296. It's the monthly kilowatts per hour of the standard solar panel is 25.32 kilowatts per hour, while the hour use produces 38.88 kilowatt per hour. The annually produced of standard solar panel is 303.84 kilowatt per hour, and the Aureus produces 466.56 kilowatt per hour. So in the power production, the Aureus is much higher than the standard solar panel. So the savings comparison, assuming that the 15 pesos per kilowatt hour. So the daily cost of the standard is 12.66, while the Aureus is 19.44, and the monthly savings of the solar and the monthly savings of the standard solar panel is 379.8 pesos, while the Aureus is 583.2, which is mas dako siya og mas save nga money. And the return of investment of the solar panel is within 9 months and 7 days. So mas taas-taas siya. While the Aureus solar panel, your investment will return within 6 months and 26 days, or almost 7 months. So in this, mas advantage jud ang Aureus. So user story after. So the first figure shows the standard solar panel, and the second is the Aureus solar panel. So in good weather condition, it produces 85%, and in bad weather, produce 70%. So hapit lang sila magkaparihas or duol-duol lang kay tungod the Aureus solar panel is more advantageous kay bisag bad ang weather, maka-absorb gyapon siya og UV light through the clouds. So its profit will be 100%. So the user feedback. So Engineer Raymond Bracero told us that tsada siya na technology kay pwede ra siya himuon og window or wall sa building, makatipid jud og space. Nindot siya i-present sa pag-asa, ma'am. And lastly, medyo dako siya investment pero in the long run makasave jud siya kay dili nakamagbay og electricity. So our best team members, Stephen Christian Cabatngan is our Maven, Bleslie Gapuzan, the connector, and Carl Dave Lanestosa is your Scrum Master. And that's the end of the Arius Low Fidelity MVP. Thank you.